Good evening. Welcome back to the second segment of the Glazov Gang. In this special episode, we have the Glazov Gang Dream Team. Our guest this evening, Josh Brewster, who's a broadcaster and a writer, and you can find him on his site, Hockeytalk.biz. And he was also on the front cover of GQ magazine in the May 2008 issue. 2008
4 years and 75 pounds ago, Jamie.
Congratulations on that.
So much.
I heard a lot about it. Dwight Schultz, who played Murdock on the A-Team and one of the leading truth tellers, courageous truth tellers in the modern world today. And a leader counter jihadist with us, Tom Trento, all the way from Florida, of UnitedWest.org. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
In the first segment, we discussed the stoning of the Christians in Dearborn, Michigan, and how they were reprimanded. They were told to leave, and they were not protected while the Muslims were stoning them. This is incredible. We know that a genocide is happening of Christians in the Middle East, in Egypt, and Nigeria, etc. But what a shocking development that this is now happening on our soil. How did we get here? Let me begin with you, Tom.
Yeah, there's several sociological, cultural, and political factors. Just succinctly, the nexus of the problem is the guy that occupies 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Once he was elected in 2008, and in 2009, June 4th, he spoke in Cairo, Egypt, and apologized to the Islamic world and put his hands out to reach out. What he did was he raised a white flag of surrender, an ideological surrender, and now we're just backfilling the event that took place in June of 2009.
And he had the Muslim Brotherhood in the first two rows during his speech.
They were there, and you got to read this stuff through the mind of the Islamists, the theological understanding of him speaking there, the most powerful guy in the world, basically bowing down to them. It was fait accompli at that point.
Tom, how do you explain Obama's behavior? Naivete or a destructive intent in his heart?
Oh, no, he has an intent. I do a lot of study on who he is and what he does, but he's trying to break the bonds of Western colonialism, and in his anti-colonialistic view, to break America as being a strong military and financial power makes the world an even place. And in his love for Islam, he is a Muslim because he was born of a Muslim father. He claims to be a Christian. I'm a Christian. I can't recognize anything Christian about him. I think he's an agnostic who's an ideologue, who's a Marxist socialist, rebuilding the world as he sees fit with a lean toward accommodating the Islamic world. That's what he's doing.
Wow, troubling times. Dwight?
Well, it's hard to build on that because he's dead right. The president is a Marxist socialist. And as such, well, let me put it this way. He's lied about his mother, he's lied about his father, he's lied about his grandfather, he lied about the 20 years that he sat in Wright's church not knowing what it was. He
wasn't listening for 20
He
years.
lied about Bill Ayers not being a close associate of them. They millions of dollars passed between the two of them. And when he started his political career in the Bill Ayers, Bernardine Dorn, and Alice Palmer were in the same bloody room. And one of the first things he did was appoint a communist for his green agenda. And what is the green agenda? Ask some greenie in Europe. I'm green on the outside, but I'm red on the inside. This guy this is a four-tier front. I mean, we're fighting 4 wars at the same time. This guy is attacking the family. He's attacking politics, the legality of our Constitution. He has set state against state, mother against brother, father, brother against sister. This is nothing but provocateurism and this attempt to split the Constitution in two and make it meaningless.
Preacher Murdock.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I am. This
I'm with you.
This is my.
You got to take this on the road.
Yeah.
Now, Josh, go ahead.
Oh, well, listen, the fact of the matter is, I look at the new millennium as a whole new world. The first thing that happens as the millennium turns is the Jews are all of a sudden subject to suicide bombings. This freaks the whole world out completely, but hey, it must be the Jews' fault because, as Noam Chomsky says, they bring everything on themselves anyway. Then, just months after, just months after this wave in 2000, we have 9/11. And then after 9/11, there's a whole big cavity in this country. There's an outpouring of guilt. what did we do to bring this on ourselves? See, this is a Judeo-Christian tradition. What did we do? How did we bring this on ourselves? It's a Judeo-Christian thing. It's not a Muslim way of looking at things. It's a Judeo-Christian thing. And to me, I believe that all of this self-guilt and self-blame, we needed strength, and we're responding with indulgence, we're responding with sensitivity training and diversity training. And the fact of the matter is, what we should have been talking about for the last 10 years, war or no war, is these are the rules of being an American. Okay? And it's not a multicultural outlook.
Now,
that's what I think changed.
Now, I want
2001, 9/11 put a big crater in this country.
Now, I want our
and
viewers...
exposed its guilt.
Thank you, Josh. I want our viewers to know, by the way, your guys' backgrounds. Josh, you're not just this right-wing hawk.
No, I'm not just a right-wing.
Are you a second thoughter?
No, yes, I'm a second thoughts
Were
conservative.
you once a brain-dead liberal? Or
No, I'm going to tell you. Listen, I'm a Jewish kid. I grew up in a Jewish home, and my parents had real good reason to be liberals. They were much, much older people. I understood why Jews were liberals. I don't understand why they are anymore, but they were. And I'm a second thoughts conservative because my love for Israel and my love for freedom is not indulged on the left. And I discovered about 20 years ago that I had no friends on the left.
Okay, just a sec. We're going to return, but Tom, can you give us your intellectual background, your political background?
Quick background. I'm a Christian, so I see the world through that perspective.
So you weren't misguided as Josh was?
No. Well,
you always
took a little while to get that sorted out, but
okay.
I did some work in law enforcement degrees there, and then theology, and then philosophy. And I've been an activist and somebody trying to shake up the bad guys all my life.
So you're an intellectual and an activist?
No,
You're a
more an
philosopher as
activist
well?
than the intellectual.
Have you heard of Aristotle and Plato? These
Aristotle?
You studied philosophy?
Aristotle? Yes.
What was your main field?
Christian apologetics, actually.
Okay, and Dwight, are you a second thoughter?
No, I'm not. I've been a conservative since I was 16 or 17. But I was a Christian, but I'm a Christian who loves the Old Testament as well as the New Testament. And I was guided in my life by talk radio. I'm Barry Farber. I listened to Barry Farber out of New York City. I lived in Baltimore. I had a little blue transistor radio, and I would go to sleep. I wouldn't watch TV. I'd go to sleep at night, and I'd lie there, and I'd get him, and I'd listen to him, and he instructed me to the reality of the world, particularly communism. And when I moved out of high school and got into college, I found out I wasn't being told anything that was true. I began to just dismiss what the education I was being given because I recognized it for what it was. There were falsehoods. There were ideological falsehoods being shoved down my throat in the 60s. And of course the war was going on, the Vietnam War. I supported the war. You cannot imagine what that was like in a theater department in the United States. And although it was a badly run war, I understood the major objectives in what was going on in the world. What was going on in Vietnam? I knew about the Katyn forests. I knew what had happened in Czechoslovakia. I knew what had happened in Hungary, and had the great pleasure of meeting several Hungarian refugees who really filled me in on communism.
Absolutely. So, gentlemen, we're now, the threat of communism now, in many respects, replaced by the threat of jihad. And as Steve Coughlin very wisely has said in his speeches and writings, that the jihadi takeover of the West and even of the United States is happening. It's happening on the wings of postmodernism and the left, right? And Josh, go ahead.
One thing that I think is important to look at when you look at the left and postmodernism and all of this is that the fact of the matter is that Islam, as Dwight mentioned, it's just a lot of the same myths, the same communistic sort of myths that they're putting out there, and they're using political correctness and Islamophobia. I think Islamophobia is something we really should talk about, because that's really what they're afraid of, and I'm certain that these gentlemen can speak to that, because I think that is the real canard now, to call someone an Islamophobe, which is why they're not picking up.
Well, let's finish with this then for this segment, in terms of how even our enemies, how the Muslim Brotherhood is even shaping the language which we are using and constricting the boundaries of debate. For instance, even this term Islamophobia was created by the Muslim Brotherhood themselves. Let's finish on that. How, just in general, gentlemen, how serious is the threat that we are facing?
The Islamic threat, the threat doctrine from a kinetic perspective is horrendously devastatingly scary, particularly if it gets thermonuclear. But the ideological battle, the Brotherhood in the United States, may be, if we could keep the nuclear bombs down, worse for the West than the fear of the kinetic element of Islam.
Because this civilization jihad
Yep.
thing about they want to take over slowly.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I meant to say,
Yeah.
they don't care if it takes 700 years.
Right.
That's one of the things. So don't just expect just some big explosions. It's a subversion of the culture.
Okay.
Because they really don't care if it takes 700 more years.
Okay,
or whatever.
now
That's the battle between. That's the
Okay, now
battle
just a
between-
second. Dwight, you have quite a quote from that
Well,
memorandum
yes,
that was found. Let's
yes.
finish
Andrew
on that.
McCarthy, Andy McCarthy's book, The Grand Jihad, How Islam and the Left, this is the important
Hold the
part.
book up so all
How
our
Islam
viewers
and the
can get
Left sabotage America. This was entered into the Holy Land Foundation trial. This is...
In which care was found
Yes,
to be unindicted.
unindicted quote. This was found from 1994. This is like Mein Kampf or the Communist Manifesto. It's what they believe, what they want to do, what they are doing. The Ikhwan, which is Brotherhood, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. This is their belief, and this is what they are doing. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, and the accurate reporting of that earns you the title Islamophobe.
Right,
So I
that's
think
right.
what we all owe it to ourselves, and everybody who thinks like-mindedly, is this. We have to attack the word Islamophobe and start to say, look, you call me Islamophobe all day, here are the facts, this is the truth, you can call me an Islamophobe, I don't care. We have to have a generation of people who aren't going to care that they're being called racist and Islamophobe. That's what we need.
And they have homophobe, you see. They latch it on to every other political correct, the war on women, homophobia. They latch on to all of this, and this is just a natural progression.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Join us tomorrow evening for our third segment in which we discuss the tragedy of what's happening in Egypt. Good night.